I'm a hippo.
Broadcast Hippo. Digital media.
Come on!
I'm a hippo.
Broadcast Hippo. Digital media.
Good morning.
Good. Hey, good morning. How is everybody? What is it?
It is fantastic.
morning.
I haven't had enough coffee yet for you people.
How is it? How is it, G? Okay, first of all, big shout out to Teebs. The show is powered by, as Andrew likes to say, cannabis. But it is not just cannabis that Teebs offers. Teebs also offers CBD. They also offer creams. There's a ton of other things. It's not just about getting high. It is also about ailments and aches and pains. No, it's not.
Shit.
Teebs is not, as people like to call it, a one-trick pony. So you can go in there and you can get your CBD, and you know what I found? I had a little ache in my elbow, and I put it on my elbow, and it doesn't hurt as much. I'm not going to say it's gone away, but it
elbow
does not
pain
hurt.
can be bad stuff.
The Mary's, is that what you're talking about? The Mary's stuff? That little jar?
Is it like tendonitis or tennis elbow?
No, you know what? I found it ran all the way through my forearm, and I didn't realize. Never realize like how much you use something until you like pull it or strain it.
Yes.
And I never realized like how much my forearm was attached to my grip strength. So I was like, how the fuck does my elbow affect the way that I grab a cup of coffee? And it was crazy for a minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there with that. With like, it's like a tendonitis, or what's the other word they call it when you're
carpal tunnel?
Tendonitis, carpal tunnel, So try some CBD oil, or if you think it's only got like a few things, just think of like Boys to Men. It'll remind you like cannabis, THC, CBD. All kinds of good stuff out there.
That's a great commercial.
Deebs, you can have that, Deebs. That was for you.
Donnie, I'm probably coming out to see you today, and I'll bring you Ashley's CBD gummies.
Oh.
Okay. I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Oh, no. Is this going to be like the throwback show?
No. Hey, all right. With all that out of the way, how was everybody's, what was that, Wednesday?
Oh, what is today?
Thursday? Today is Thursday.
My days
April
run
1st.
together.
Okay. Why?
Because I get up at, I was going to say at 5:30, but the reality is I kind of roll out of bed at like 6:10. And then I have to run all the kids to school now. So like I spend my whole morning from 7:30 to 9:30 running children around. And then with this car stuff, it's been like, Donnie, I'm sorry. Car buying is not fun. I disagree 100%.
It is. Well, you haven't come to see me yet.
Because I don't want to. Because I don't want to go in anywhere. Like, I don't want to do person to person. I don't want to do any of that. This is what I want. I want somebody to pull up at my house with the car that I want, at the price that I want, and have me sign a paper and then go. This is what I want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not rich enough for that.
I know. That's a problem. And now I have, but trying to car shop in between everything else has just been kind of hard is all. So I don't know what day it is. That's why.
Well, it's kind of weird that, the month ended on a Wednesday. And so for me, it kind of felt like a Friday. Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was going to be the weekend after yesterday, So it's like, wait, what day is it? I was thinking it was like Thursday the whole day too. I don't know. It was just one of those days where
like Donnie.
Where are we?
Donnie, like your work day kind of ends at the end of the month, right? Like your cycle, isn't that how it works?
Yeah, for sure.
So usually at the end of the month, and then it's like boom. So yeah, I could see how that would make it feel like the weekend for you, because that would be the wrapping up of like 30 days of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm usually.
Donnie,
go ahead.
Sorry, is it been super busy there?
Yeah, it's settled down a little bit, but this whole month has been kind of crazy. I mean, like there is literally like a shortage of cars, as Gina has probably
that's what
noticed.
I was gonna say. I went to I drove through like 5 car lots yesterday. You guys, I've never seen anything like this in my life. the pickings are so slim for used cars. That I just can't, like, there's really nothing and there's no incentive to work with anybody right now. So nobody's giving you any deals. So it's like the price you see is the price you get. There's no bargaining. There's no nothing. And the prices are ridiculous. So something that I would not normally pay $10,000 for, like I might pay $7,000 for, is $10,000, and I can't do it. So
there's just nothing out there. Like, people are buying cars from us before we can even get them on the lot. Like, they're coming in and buying them out of our service department before we can detail them and stuff.
I don't know. I've been by your lot. I see a massive amount of cars.
We're blessed. We're short for what we normally are, but we're still kind of in a better situation than most dealerships, if that makes sense.
Well, and you know how
we just are very aggressive at buying cars.
Right. And a lot of times, like when you go in a car lot, like the salesmen have to like do the Dukes of Hazzard through the window thing because the cars are parked so close together. And that's not the case right now. Like when you go, it's not necessarily, they of course they drive the cars on, they make it look like their lot is full, but the cars, if you notice, the cars are spaced a lot further apart. Like they're really
parking them sideways.
I thought that said Georgia put Gina look at the Kia Carnival. I thought it said the Kid Carnival. I was about to cuss Georgia out. Like, I don't want to look at kid any fucking thing. I don't even like kids right now. But yeah, that it's crazy the amount of cars that are not on the lot. It's nuts.
Dude, why is that?
It's the same,
Donnie. Like, why are you not getting and okay, so this is like a two-part question. All right. Why are you not getting used cars? And two, why is there an uptick in car sales? Because it seems that if you don't have, like, I've heard some crazy, I heard the craziest car commercial ever in my life on the radio. The car commercial said, bad credit, no job, no problem. Get the fuck. What? No job. That should not be. Why don't you just say, hey, we'll let you use this car for 6 months until you fall behind, then we'll take it back and give it to somebody else. Like, what?
Well, that was basically, that's probably like a buy here, pay here type situation where they'll use unemployment as income, which some banks will. There's a couple banks that will. I mean, most of them won't, but there are situations where you get financed.
Like any bank that's going to take unemployment as income probably doesn't have a brick and mortar place. You probably got to reach him over the phone, and he's like, "All right, meet me at Gino's."
Yeah. Well,
that's basically who I'm financed through. Like, they're not going to repo the car if I fall behind. They're going to send Vito and Winnie to break my kneecaps until I decide to pay.
No, they're just going to bring their extra key that they kept when they sold
it.
No, there is no extra key. My car was sold with one key. The person who owned it previously had activated the parental controls on the car, but they didn't have the admin key passed along. I have to pay $150 if I want to get a new admin key, and until I decide to pry open my wallet for that, I can't go over 80. If my passenger doesn't buckle up, it mutes the radio, and I can't turn the radio past a certain volume.
I mean, it's for the best. It really is.
It's like I'm a 16-year-old that just got their license.
How long has it been like this, Chris, for you?
A few years.
So when you say no, I'm gonna need this is my moment to Tifo. I need more than just the few. I need an exact amount of years. How many years, Chris?
About 3.5.
3.5 years. You've been driving a car that pretty much tells you how loud it thinks you should be listening to your music, and
and I don't really go over 80 anyway. I don't even go 80. So that's never been a real big thing. The thing that annoys me the most is when I get a passenger that won't buckle up on that. Like just buckle the seatbelt so we can at least have the music.
But who do you have in your car that argues about buckling their seatbelt still?
Other fat people.
Well, you can't let them ride. You can't.
There's a weight limit.
You gotta meet other fat people there. You can't just pick them up. That's not good.
I'm voluntarily sacrificing my suspension for their comfort.
Oh Christ!
Yeah, let them. They do the old buckle before they get in trick.
Yeah, I do have one friend that does that. He just buckles it up and then sits down. But at least we get radio.
Shut up.
Pay the $150, Tiefel. It's really
I should have done it when I got the stimulus. I was like, I got the stimulus, I can get my admin key, but I also am really against the idea of Ford charging that much money for a flipping key.
I just don't know, Chris, if you're in a position to jump to that conclusion. Like, how much industry knowledge do you have where you can go, that price just doesn't make sense to me? Like, it's not like you're you know what, I spent years in the admin key industry and I know $150 you're gouging me.
Well, it's just the whole point of they have the key and you don't. I don't know if you guys remember when I lost my key at Cedar Point.
At Cedar Point, yeah.
We lost our car keys at Cedar Point, or like our whole house, all of our keys at Cedar Point. And like in the middle of the day, I called this lock place and I told them I needed a key cut for my car. And I didn't really tell them the whole situation, but I was like, yeah, I need a key. And they quoted me, I think maybe like $180, $200. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's a great deal actually, because I'm stuck out here. So a couple hours later, I talked to somebody else who kind of had a better grasp on the fact that I was stuck out of town. And they're like, no, it's going to be like $300 to $100. I was like, well, the guy earlier quoted me like $200. He's like, yeah, but he didn't know about the programming that takes 7 seconds to do. And I was like, oh, all right. I mean, I'm just glad I didn't say $495 because I obviously would have paid it because I needed a key to get home. So it's just I needed that key. That was the bottom line.
I miss the good old days where you had a separate key for your door and a separate key for your ignition, and there were no chips involved. Like my dad used to have in his wallet this credit card. It looked like a credit card, but it was a pop-out plastic key for your door, for your car door. So like if you locked your keys in the car, you could just pop out that key, boom, open the door and get in.
Did not have
a
credit card safety card.
You miss those good old days.
Keys didn't cost no $150. I'll tell you that.
When cars didn't have windshield wipers and seat belts or headlights.
I have a question about keys. Do you guys remember when cars came with like 3 or 4 different keys from different parts of the car? It's like, this one's the door, this one's the ignition, this one's the glove box, this one's the trunk. I'm like, how am I going to keep all these keys?
You know, first of all, I like, and as far as that goes, like the 3 keys thing, I miss those days because now they put everything in one key fob. Like back in the day, if they were going to carjack you, they had a 33% chance of getting the ignition key right. 33% chance. Now it's all in the key fob. I mean, now we're talking, you have literally shaved 10 seconds off of stealing my car. That's 10 seconds cops need to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I refuse to pay the $150 so far. So
your dad just said?
Yeah, that's why I just said holy crap too.
That's why 150 is not really bad.
Yeah. I'll give him though. His Subaru is really nice. It's got
is it a $750 a key nice?
Does that make it better, Chris? Because it's a nicer car, you can see wrapping your head around $750.
It makes it better because he'll be the one paying it, not me.
Would you pay $150 for a Subaru key, Chris?
Yeah. If it was really nice inside.
You know, for a Subaru, I probably would. I grew up with my grandparents. They always had a Subaru, like the old 80s ones, but they lasted forever. So from my experience, Subaru's worth it.
Subaru customers are like up there with Kia customers. They're like the 2 most brand loyal customers like in the world.
True. Yeah. Audi customers are also like that too.
Like Subaru customer will come in
the worst.
Well, they're just so loyal. They'll come in and they'll be like, "Hey, I want to see this Kia," and I'm like, I'm like, I'll show it to you, but are you really gonna buy something other than a Subaru? They're like, I might.
No, you're not.
I just
No,
want to
you're
drive
not.
it.
You just came in here to show everybody why you think your Subaru's better than a Kia. You Birkenstock Chipotle eating, just watermelon lotion smelling ass. You just walk out. Look, I know you're a Democrat. I get it. Like, you never see a Republican driving a Subaru ever. Who?
People's
You
dad.
gave me one Republican.
My father.
People's dad.
No, people's dad. He's a closet Democrat. He may identify. He may identify as a Republican.
You better watch. You better watch yourself. He's going to be living here starting in the summer.
Hey, I'm just saying, your dad.
He
may identify as a Republican, but at night he gets dressed up and votes for liberal shit and then goes to bed. That's what he does. He puts on like liberal underwear, his "I Love Obama" T-shirt, and then he votes for universal health care.
When Ted, when you come to town, I want you to give me a ride in your Subaru, and I'll take you for a drive in one of our Kias, and we'll talk about the experience.
He said he's an ultra conservative, but that's what a Democrat who's pretending to be a Republican would say.
Oh my God. Do you realize how difficult you're making my life right now? Thank you. I every Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything, I'm going to hear this.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's going to pull you into a room. He's going to go, Demetrius was right.
You know what, Demetrius, I will bow at your feet if at some point in the near future my father pulls out a vagina hat. And
I'm just saying, you're gonna go through his stuff, and then you're gonna see all of this. You're gonna be like, oh my God, look at all these Mondale for President pamphlets. What? Holy!
He pulls out the Mondale.
I can't believe my dad's got 13 Dukakis t-shirts. What the shit?
Yeah. I feel bad for Dukakis on that whole thing.
All right, let's just not even bring him up. Nobody remembers Dukakis. This is just a couple of people who've read history books.
Yeah,
It's a great name, though.
But did you guys see? Speaking of politics, did you guys see that the Toledo Housing Court is restarting evictions?
Moving forward with evictions. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy because I feel. I mean, I get it. Like, if you're struggling, but you just got $1,400. If you didn't try to catch your rent up, it's kind of hard to feel bad. Like, I feel like there's probably very few people that are getting evicted that didn't make some bad choices. I mean, I'm sure there are some. I'm sure there are, but you can't tell me that. I don't know.
You know what, though? And I think a lot of people look at it as like they're farther behind than $1,400, and if they're farther behind, they're like, what's $1,400 going to do if I owe $2,000? That just means I owe $6,000. And so they reconcile that, and they're like, well, you know what? I might as well just owe $2,000 and buy me a pair of Nas Nike Satan shoes.
I think a lot of people, at least in the subsidized housing and stuff like that, probably expected there to be a repayment plan after all this was over, rather than them just coming up and going, well, you're like 6 months behind. Where's my money?
Yeah. If you were a smart landlord, you just hang out by a mailbox. That's Stimmy. That's Stimmy you got? Yeah. Man, I'm just saying, it would be much nicer to enjoy a flat screen when there's a roof over it.
Instead of running the extension cord from your neighbor's house to a tent.
But first of all, if you're taking advice, I mean, other than if as far as like the CDC goes, I'm going to take their advice for disease control, but they're not the housing authority. You should not be listening to the CDC when they tell you that they're stopping evictions. they can't. It's just like, I wish like regular like agencies like that could just stop things. Like, hey, did you know that the Department of Transportation just stopped taxes? That was crazy. They just said taxes. You don't have to pay taxes. And they're like, aren't they the roads people?
But what I like most about this is technically they don't have to start evictions. The court just said they could, and they took that as like, when's the first opportunity? Thursday. All right, you guys get kicked out.
There's always going to be somebody. Like, everybody depends on like people not wanting to be an asshole. You know, everybody goes, well, nobody's going to want to be an asshole during a pandemic, or like, oh, nobody's going to do this to you over Christmas. It would take such a heartless, and people expect the best from people, but the people that they expect the best from are usually the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do find it kind of hard. Like it's kind of like a mixed bag. Like, I get, people lost their jobs during the whole, during this thing, but then you had your unemployment and you had the extra unemployment. And then, it kind of, to me, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, I get there were hard times, but then there were ways for you to, at least pay the bills.
I do.
And
I know
if
that
you
there
didn't-
are some people. I agree with you, Tifa. I know there's some people that have really, really struggled, and I feel bad for those people. But for the most part, I just think that they're probably not the majority in this situation. When it comes to evictions,
especially if you're if you're in the with the housing authority, you have subsidized rent, so you're not paying $1,500 for that 3-bedroom.
We're not talking about housing authority. We're not talking about subsidized rent.
right?
We're talking about just evictions going forward. We're not talking about anybody on any kind of government assistance program.
Right.
And the thing about it is you ask people to like during a pandemic to change what their normal behavior is, right? If these people were spending money anyway, and that's their thing, now all of a sudden we're going to expect them to be responsible and set money aside, which is what they should be doing for their entire lives to pay bills. Is that a realistic expectation that we should have?
You would have expected their normal to be to pay their rent.
But no, who are you to put on what their normal is? Like,
you have an apartment or a house that you don't own. How is it not your normal to pay your rent every month? Or in George's case, paying it a year in advance?
Yeah, it's a lot harder to meet deadlines when there's no consequences. I know that.
True.
Yeah.
I like I said, I can't fully sit in judgment of these people, because if given the opportunity, I might fall into that trap.
okay,
too.
so here's a question.
Yeah,
Here's a
case by
question real
case.
quick. Do you feel like there's more people taking advantage of this situation, or there's more people being responsible with the money that they're getting during this situation?
I honestly, until the numbers come out, I can honestly say that I think most people are just trying to get by and are trying to get their bills up. They may not have their rent fully paid, but they at least have money toward it. They're going to it. And I think that the cases of people taking advantage of the situation and all that stuff are going to be they're going to be relatively low, but they're going to be blown way out of proportion.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think for the most part, people are doing pretty good. I know some people who have a lot of rentals, and their tenants have really been on the ball with everything going on as far as getting stuff in, and so
There's a handful.
And I'm a renter. I rent, and we've busted our butt to make sure we're good.
Okay, so all right. So you guys, Donnie and Gina, you rent, right? And have you guys, with your experience with landlords, how has your experience been? Like, and a couple of people who own properties. Have they been understanding? Have they been flexible with what they expect?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if Donnie has the same experience, but I know my landlord has always been pretty cool. Like, if I'm going to be late, I just call him. As long as I communicate with him, he's not, it's not terrible. So we've thankfully been able to pay our bills the whole time. We haven't had any problems, but I know that's not the case for some people. And for the most part, most people I know that rent, their landlords have been pretty cool about waiting. When I was waiting for my unemployment, we had a little bit of a struggle for that to kick in. So that was a little bit rough, but my landlord worked with me. And then the property owners that I know have been really cool. As long as the people were cool and, straightforward, they've been cool. So, but they also have to pay their bills. Like, we can't forget that landlords aren't these supreme royalty beings. They're people, and they depend on the income. And a lot of the houses that they have mortgages on. So when you don't pay your rent, they still have to pay that mortgage. Now, when the mortgages were froze, I know that's not the case, but so some of them are in a situation. I know one guy who owns a lot of properties, and for the most part, he says people are pretty cool. People are paying their bills. They're doing what they need to do. But he's got a couple of them that are nasty to him. Like, you can't do anything to me, like just super nasty. And he's like, I can't wait for them to lift this eviction thing to get these people out of my house, not because they're not paying, but because they're being nasty.
Yeah, and it's not the people that own like a ton of properties that are probably struggling. It's probably the everyday working guy who has a couple of investment properties that have mortgages on. If people aren't paying that, and then he's paying his own mortgage, then he's paying 2 other mortgages,
Right.
And he's probably not ever going to get that money back.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends that own some properties around town that they rent out, and they usually work with their renters and stuff like that to like Gina was describing. Myself, though, my landlord is a corporate out of Colorado that owns my building, the Commodore Perry, and a couple other buildings around the downtown area on there. And they sent out notices during this time that was basically like, hey, it'd be a good use of that stimulus if you just paid us. It'll help you make your rent. And they sent out a couple of those. They didn't give a crap. Like, they might have worked with individual people. I have no way of knowing, but their attitude during this whole thing has been, hey, you still owe us money.
See, and that's, what, and I had a conversation with a city councilman of like 7 months back, right? And he said to me probably one of the most disturbing things I had ever heard, like a politician or of any sort, be it like national, state, local. He said to me probably one of the most disturbing things I had ever heard. He said there is money in poverty, and
it costs a lot of money to be poor, for sure.
It does.
He's like, no, literally, he's like, how he meant it was, you can make a ton of money by dealing in poverty, by dealing with people who have less, by dealing with corporate landlords who just want to roll over an apartment and kick somebody out and get another low income like family in. And once they can't meet their bills, they kick them out. I just feel like you shouldn't be allowed, and maybe this is just me, like, you should have some kind of local presence when you own any kind of residency in a state or in a city. Like, you can't be a company out of Colorado and run an apartment complex. You can't, because you don't have any ties to the community in which these people who live in your building, contribute, because you're in Colorado.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I had so as far as like the being poor thing, it costs a lot of money to be poor, and like you said, he's not wrong. There's a lot of money to be made in poverty. For instance, things are more
crazy.
So things are cheaper in bulk, right? And so, but no poor people can afford to buy bulk, so they pay more for this, for the packs of toilet paper instead of the big packs of toilet paper, like that kind of thing, essentials. So that happens on a regular basis. And then as far as the apartments go, it's like the buy here, pay here places. They give a car to people without jobs. They don't care. They don't care if you pay your bill or not. They're going to go get that car, bring it back to the lot, spruce it up barely, and then resell it to someone else. They already have your down payment. So they don't give a shit.
It is crazy. It is crazy to me that somebody can build a business plan around sucking money out of people who are in poverty. It is crazy to me that somebody can drive around a Bentley on the backs of people who are struggling to feed their families. And
Welcome to the entire history of man.
that is crazy to me. I don't know how people sleep. When that city councilman told me that, I was like, and he didn't bat an eye. He didn't feel dirty. He didn't feel bad about it. He didn't feel like, wow, maybe this is something I shouldn't say out loud. You know, he just said it as a matter of fact. Like you can become rich by dealing in services that deal with people who are in poverty.
Yeah, what do you? I mean, if you just look at the businesses that are around in poorer communities with like the check cashing places, things like things like that. The Cricket Mobile makes an entire industry, their entire company off of people that are broke but they need cellular service. Them and Boost, both.
Yeah, but they're not taking advantage. They're offering a service that's poor people can use so like. Because if you don't have $1 billion to pay AT&T for your contract, all that, Cricket actually offers a service. The service is decent. It didn't used to be that way though. Mm-hmm. Like it was crappy service that you get because you're
remember
poor.
when it was just that green couch?
but that's not the case anymore. Like the pay as you go cell phones have decent service and they operate off the bigger cell phones, the bigger cell phone towers. So I think that's a little bit different scenario, but it's more the people that pray. What's that, D? I'm sorry.
I said pretty much everybody shares the same system.
Right. So like I'm paying, I actually have Cricket and they run off of, I think AT&T towers, if I'm not mistaken, and Metro is off of Sprint towers, but it might be the other way around. But I get the same service that an AT&T or Sprint customer gets without the contract. Yeah. Like it's really the same thing.
Yeah, so they can look at each other and the AT&T guy can be like, wow, you pay so much less for the shitty service that I pay for. That is not fair. And you're like, yeah, dumb rich white guy, enjoy your crappy service.
And it used to be the benefit of having the bigger names was that you could like trade your phone in to upgrade more often and finance your phones instead of having to pay outright for them. But that's not the case anymore. You can finance a phone. You can't trade in your old iPhone and get a new iPhone. But you'll get a significant discount if you trade in your old iPhone or whatever. So
yes, you can go to the used iPhone lot and
it's empty right now, D.
Yeah, get a guy. He's like, hey, what do I got to do to get you into this 9? This is
sometimes it's like that when you walk in there. You do feel like that. I had one. The reason I would have Cricket is because I used to go to Metro, and the guy when I went in there, and I was like, what? They do the free phone if you switch thing. And I was like, well, I think I'm probably just going to do that because it was for my kids. And I'm not going to spend a lot of money for them to break their phones. So I'm like, I just want the free ones. And he says, you don't want that. It's watered down. It's a watered down version of the actual phone. It's like, I'm like, it's a watered down version of the actual phone. They're like, yeah, it doesn't have all the same features. And I'm like, no, that's not. They don't have free phones and regular phone piles. Like they just pick one. It's a regular phone, but so they lied to me. So I turned around and walked out and went to Cricket. So that was irritating.
Speaking of phones, I was looking through some April Fool's Day joke ideas, and one of them was like, you can like I don't know how you do it, but you make it look like someone's screen is cracked and you set it to their home screen somehow. Has anyone set up any pranks? And no. I will say that I have, but I can't really tell you what they are because Ashley was Ashley's not on today because she had a little bit of a rough night. One of the little ones isn't feeling all that great, so she's kind of up on and off all night. So she wasn't with us. But next week I'll definitely tell you about what me and the girls waited for her to fall asleep last night. We've got the house pretty set up.
Are you going to tell us next week when you're going to wait? Are you going to tell us next week when you're going to be dead? Like that's not.
I know. Well, you guys, I won't give anything away, but there was like plenty of times when because they kept coming up with some really good ideas, and I was like, no, we don't want her to be mad. We want her to be surprised and laugh about it. They're like, let's take all the coats off the coat rack and throw them on the ground, And I'm like, no, because she's gonna come down and just want to kick my ass.
Yeah, I mean, but wait, what I don't get. So your wife was up late with a sick child. She's in a bad mood. She's tired. And at no point during this entire process did you think maybe I should deactivate a prank or two.
No.
Well, we did the pranks. We did the stuff before that. So this morning, honestly, Chris, I was like, oh man, this is not good timing.
What I love about Donnie is Donnie thinks that his sense of humor is the best medication for anything.
Everything.
He's like, you know what? She's tired and she's mad, but I'm gonna make her feel better when I pull some of my yuckity yucks on her. And then like Donnie, he's like, she just needs more of D. That's what she needs. She needs more. That'll bring her right out of it.
You're so right, because like I mentioned this. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I saw this one prank where they basically they put they used a pool noodle and they had like shaving cream or whipped cream on one end and they put it in the refrigerator in such a way that when you open the refrigerator and they had taped one end of it on the inside, so when you open the refrigerator, it came back and just slapped you right in the face.
That would be amazing. That's really good,
man. You know what? There are certain situations that people can describe to you via the internet and over the phone and in person that when other people around you react to it, it kind of lets you gauge where you are in like age to where everybody else is. And when you, Chris, described that noodle stunt and these two Yakimos broke into uncontrollable laughter, and I was like, you know what I thought? I was like, man, I would beat the fuck out of somebody who you two laugh and I got mad. I got mad.
Dick in the face. Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
I got mad like it had just happened to me. And I was just like, first of all, I don't think you should take that much room out of my refrigerator to pull this joke up, you assholes.
Things are gonna get knocked over.
Like,
well, and
like,
also, how short do you have to be? Because
to get
I mean, like
in the face.
my refrigerator is not as tall as me; like it's lower. So if it's smacked in the face, like you're.
Well, it's gonna. I guess. I mean, it could smack you anywhere. You're good.
Angles, science, and angles.
Yeah.
I imagine fridge is involved.
The point of the prank isn't necessarily getting whacked in the face, but more just getting whacked when you open the fridge, and this is the unexpected. I just got whacked.
with a giant phallic like that's so funny. Like listen, I'm not arguing about the fact that I have a 14-year-old boy sense of humor. Like I totally parts are still funny. My kid's spelling word was duty one time, and every time I said it, we would just start laughing because it's funny. It's just funny. That's all there is to it. I have a 14-year-old.
I have an old man joke response when it comes to practical jokes and shit like that.
Yes, Georgia.
I wake up angry, and like when it's pulled on me, I'm mad at you for exposing my elderliness. Like I took a nap. I took a nap on a hill, and on a hill outside, and which is something I usually never do because I'm exposed to the elements. I will never close my eyes because you don't know what's sneaking up on you.
Are you Snoopy? Who are you?
Right? So
why are you sleeping on a hill?
I don't know. I was like having one of them
you got like halfway up and had to take a nap. That's how old you are?
No, you know what it was? I was having one of those old like upper white middle class moments where you can just like lay on a blanket in the park and gaze at the clouds and kind of contemplate, where your 401k is, how your Subaru is running, and your next trip to IKEA. I was having one of those moments, and then I kind of dozed off, and then my wife and a bunch of our family snuck up and threw buckets of water on me. And I didn't pop up. Yeah, I didn't pop up and go, that was a good one. You guys got me. That was a good one. There was a litany of cuss words that came flying out of my mouth. And like to the point where like my nieces and my kids were like, wow, we didn't even know that was a cuss word and could be put with that cuss word.
That was a
Like,
cross
I
between
mean-
pranking and waterboarding.
Yeah, you got waterboarded. You had every reason to be angry.
I think when you wake somebody up, though, the prank is different. Like I don't do well in the morning. Like when you're, it's so
picturing
different
it.
than if you just have like a regular prank. You're walking throughout your day and something happens. You wake me up, and I'm coming up swinging. I'm not coming up because I'm fat. I kind of roll around. It's really awkward.
It's just like,
actually.
roll
Don't
around
do it.
swinging.
All right, I'm up.
And just making old man noises.
what the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah, I think a good prank should be the person who was pranked should also be laughing on that. Like if you pull a prank and all you did was piss the person off,
Yeah.
that was not a good prank.
Yeah, I agree with that. That it's not a prank. That is just mean.
What age should you stop pranking?
Never. Absolutely never. Never.
Yeah.
You should never not have fun. You should always have fun.
Yeah.
On the kids' birthdays, I mean, this isn't exactly a prank, but like every year at midnight on the kids' birthday, they'd be sleeping normally. So I go in and I just scream happy birthday and wake them up because that's hilariously funny. And it's just something we do. You never stop. You don't stop doing that.
You just run into the room and scream.
I do. I just wake. And then
Yes.
I make them make old man noises. They've been waking
Faking
me
pregnancy.
up.
Oh, sorry.
They've been waking me up for 15 years, dude. Fuck them kids.
Faking pregnancy is not a good prank. That's a good point, Georgia. So it's lazy. It's just really not creative, and some people find it offensive. So
yes, that is very true.
So let's get a little bit more creative and fake your death. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I mean, because there's only one of
prank.
two. There's only one of two reactions with the faking the pregnancy. Either they're going to be elated or they're going to be really, really sad. And either way, that if they're elated about it, if they're very excited, and then the letdown after that, or if they're very like that's just not.
Gina, you have left out one. You have left out one very important reaction.
What one?
Anger. Chris said,
I mean, how can you be pissed? You did that.
Really? Whoa, you don't know that. She could pop that out and you maybe not have touched her for 6 fucking weeks. And then all of a sudden she's like, hey, baby, I'm pregnant. And he's like, wow, that's funny. That's very, I think you may be in the wrong house because I don't remember having sex with you for a long time.
Well, that is a really stupid prank.
Yeah.
I go to like grandpa mode. Like if one of my kids like told me they were pregnant and then I'd be like happy, and then they'd take it away, and I'd be like sad.
If one of your kids came up to you with a positive pregnancy test today as an April Fool's joke,
I mean,
I don't think you would take it happy. I think you're
only have one that's old enough.
Gay, but yeah, he does have an older daughter.
Dude,
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, bro. I would be like, I mean, it's not great timing.
Donnie, are you ready?
Awesome.
Are you really ready? Are you ready to be a grandpa? Are you ready?
Dude,
Are you ready?
I'm gonna have grandpa bod instead of dad bod.
Like, is that gonna be a title? Is that like a title you're ready to wrap your head around?
What are you gonna be? Peepaw, Pops, what?
Like a grandpa. Like being a grandpa is like that scares the shit out of me. Like that whole.
I mean, I haven't thought about that part of it. So
scares the shit out of me.
That is kind of scary, but
like I'm not financially ready to be a grandpa.
Yeah, that would be my thing right now. I want my kids to wait because I have a 20-year-old too. I want her to wait because I can't do the things with her kids that I would want to do. Like, because are you supposed to do more with your grandbabies than you did with your kids? And I still have my kids, but I'm struggling to.
As an uncle with 10 nieces and nephews, I can tell you probably the same thing with grandparents. It is super easy to spoil them when they're like babies into like through elementary school a little bit, but when they start getting their own interests that are really expensive,
I'm
done. I'm done. I put the work in early. You should still love me from all of that.
No.
There you go. That's a good point.
And that's not the point because that's wasted time. Those kids won't even remember that shit.
Save that money. Yes.
Yeah. You should be. Don't even engage them until they're 4. You should be like stacking cash Like, don't even acknowledge their names until they are 4 years old, till they can like really start formulating memories and then go, oh my God, like remember that time? Don't do shit with them when they're 2, 3, and 4. Like, no, fuck them. They won't. Now you're just a fuzzy memory. You're just that cute. You're the friendly beard that took us to see the guy with the big orange for a head.
Remember
That's
when
not
Uncle
a
Chris
thing.
used to be fun and take us places? That's what they talk about now. They talk about the good old days when you were fun and did things with them.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm-mm.
I will not deny I'm more curmudgeon-y now than I was in the past.
Yeah, like I don't have enough. Like, give your kids diabetes money, to actually give your kids diabetes. I can't afford a steady stream of chocolates, to put your kid on that unhealthy trail of, cardiac failure and stroke like I'm supposed to.
Yeah. Like D talks about himself being like the older curmudgeonly guy, but then he tells a story about how he fell asleep on a hill. At least you went to the hill. I would have found 50 excuses not to go to the hill, and I would have napped.
You identify as a grandpa, even though you're not a grandpa.
See, and that's the thing. I think I'm like early grandpa syndrome. Like, it's that shit that like strikes people in their mid to late 40s, and it's like early onset Alzheimer's. Except like my sweaters, you should see my sweater collection now, and how and like some of the sweaters where I'm like, that's a really nice sweater. Like, I watch episodes of Mr. Rogers and I'm like, that's a really nice sweater. And I don't go, that's a message that I really enjoy. That's a good message for the kids. I'm like, did you see the kids and that fucking sweater? That sweater that's what I'm taking away from these episodes.
You don't drive by an Old Navy anymore.
No. And let me just tell you, sometimes Old Navy has like their sweater game is strong and they know it, and that's where it's reflected in the price of the sweater. Like you can buy 14 pairs of jeans at Old Navy for what you will spend on a sweater at Old Navy.
You are a boomer. You really are.
What the fuck is being wrong? What's wrong with being a boomer? Just because I'm honest enough to say I don't get it? Like, what? You trying to ignorant shame me? Is that what it is? Because I'm seeking knowledge? Because I'm old and I want to understand? That's all? Yes, I'm a boomer.
Do you want to understand, though? I don't think you do. I think you want to just tell people how you feel and not care about the way other people feel.
I do care about how others feel. I just don't understand why they feel that way. So that's what I'm asking.
But this is where the boomer mentality comes in. And I'm not saying you, I'm just saying boomers in general. This is when I think somebody just boomered out. When they ask a question like, why does blah, blah, blah happen? But they don't really want to know why blah, blah, blah happened. They just want to bitch about it happening. They don't want to understand where people are coming from. They just want to complain about it. Like, when they look at you and they say something like, well, why do you do this? Or why do you do that? And you're sitting there and you're going, well, because, and they completely block you out. They're not listening to the answer. So that's why you're a boomer, because you don't really care what the answer is.
So basically anybody could be a boomer.
I mean, well,
like if that's your definition,
with the okay boomer thing, anybody can be. Yes.
If you don't give a shit about somebody's reasoning behind something and you just refuse to understand it, and that's it, then anybody can be a boomer.
Yes.
So, all right.
It really has changed what it means.
Not in the actual boomer thing. And the boomer is a generation, yes, but they're the nickname, the okay boomer thing. That is a mentality.
Okay. All right. So you're saying this is boomer cultural appropriation, right? So it is people who have looked at old curmudgeonly people and went like, that's the kind of life I want to live. I identify as a boomer. So you will refer to me as old or crotchety.
The older I get, the more I identify with Mr. Wilson.
Yes, no, Georgia says that's something that a boomer would say. That is absolutely something that a boomer would say, is what D just said. D is a boomer. D is an okay boomer, for sure.
Yeah, I'm totally.
So is Tifo. Donnie and I are the
I am not a boomer.
Yeah.
We're the
Yeah, you know
juveniles.
what
You
you
guys are
guys
the
are?
boomers.
And that's probably the worst are like the people who are old and try to be young. Look, you trying old ass who people like want to use the word boomer to refer to other people in their same fucking age group. They're like, okay, boomer. And I'm like, whoa, Martha Washington, slow your fucking roll. You don't get to call me
we
that.
went to school together, right?
Yeah. Like you don't get to
Like-
talk shit to me. I remember when you were calling brown people those people. You ain't that woke.
Well, that just explained a whole. Speaking of, that's another thing that happened yesterday is that the Cleveland Indians aren't letting headdresses or face paint at their games anymore. They're not allowing it.
I mean,
What if you're actually Native American?
I mean, I feel like
what-
that'd be an
like-
exception.
Like
I don't know if I'm allowed to laugh at that joke, but that's pretty good.
but
I
I'm just like
don't know if they could put that exception in because do you really want the 19-year-old at the gate to be the one making that judgment call?
and that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Do you want to put him in charge of like do you ban it for everybody? And like what happens if like an actual Native American who was like, look, this is my shit, and then you got Chris who's 17 and this is his first job, who really hasn't explored how to identify people of different cultures, who's like, look, man, I don't understand it either. I'm just saying you can't wear that shit in here.
Right. Georgia's right though, that if they were actually Native American, that's a ceremonial dress. They don't walk around like that in everyday life. Like that's not so they
Which is
wouldn't
a
be wearing
shame.
it
It's
to an
pretty
Indians
badass.
game. I mean, they could if they wanted to because they're native. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
But-
they could do whatever they want. Like you could wear a top hat every
But
day
they
if you
don't.
wanted to. Right?
But they
Wait,
don't.
you're just
That's
telling
the
me
thing.
this now, D? Wait a minute.
It's-
What?
Yes. I mean, it definitely goes with a tuxedo. But if you feel like today's a top hat day, put that top hat on.
This whole
Thank you
time
for
I've
that
been walking
pep
around
talk.
thinking I can't wear
I'm-
one.
Thank you for that pep talk, D. I'm gonna go get my top hat out now. And now I'm wearing my top hat. You know what's funny is I have to go car shopping today. So if I wear a top hat, Donnie, will that make people like run up to want to help me?
You got to add a
100%.
monocle to look rich.
Gina,
I just have to break my glasses. I don't have a monocle.
get a top hat, get a top
Yes.
hat, get a monocle, and put some Depends on the outside of your pants, and then go, woo, I'm here to spend some money. And then the person who sticks with you is the one you is the one you deal it with.
Funny, that person was actually in yesterday.
Donnie's like, D, were you there? That's great.
Like that's what I would want to do. I would just want to go in wearing some Depends over my jeans and randomly swatting at imaginary bugs on my arm and going, hey, how does this handle? Let's go. Oh, another bug.
And the one person that runs up to help you, that's your person.
Yep, that's the guy. I'm like, you know what, man? You're a guy who gives somebody an equal shot. Let's go. Let's do this.
Oh man, I'm not. Donnie, I really am coming out to see you today. What time are you gonna be there?
I go in at 8:30. I'll be ready for you.
Oh yeah, I won't be. I'll be
What time
running
you coming?
people down. I don't know. I don't even know
All
what my
right,
life is right now, you guys. It's
Well-
I'm being so serious. There's so much happening right now. It's ridiculous.
Well, I will
She's
tell
gonna pull
you
up in her
something.
she's gonna pull up in her fancy Kia. To
My
buy
yeah,
an
so I'm gonna
even
pull up
lesser
to Kia, my fancy Kia. That I'm driving a 2021 K5 and I love it, but I can't
K5.
afford that.
Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, I found all kinds of
Sweet.
features on it, Donnie. I'm gonna when I come in, I'll show you all the features you don't even know are there because I didn't know there.
All right.
There's
I'll
a
take it.
mode button so you can turn it. So like and it's like smart mode, so it tells you when the car in front of you takes off in case you're like looking down or something, and it stops your car if there's something behind you, like when so you don't hit anything backing up. And but there's also a sport mode, and I'm not sure what it does yet, but. God, this is where the juvenile thing comes in, D. I'm pretending it's turbo.
It
I know
automatically
when other
erases
people are in the
anyone around you.
Right. I just turn it on to my sport mode and I take off, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it goes the exact same speed, but it feels like because I put it on sport mode, it's much faster. So it's like my turbo mode. So fun.
Yeah.
This thing is just fun to drive. That's all there is to it. It is just a fun
Cars
car to
are like
drive.
new tennis shoes to like Cars for adults are like new tennis shoes for kids. You
Yes.
know,
It gives
put
me
'em- you get-
superpowers. I can run
you get in
faster.
it. Like you can run faster, you stop better, you like your arms and your elbows kind of get up and run, and you're like, oh my God, yeah, mom, I am super fast in these. Let's go. Let's get these. But
Yeah, it's totally true.
The kids
So-
got new shoes last week, and watching them put shoes on and run up and down the aisle, melted my heart so much. Like that's like one of the things I'm taking with me, like to my oldest of age, is remembering to watch them do that, because it's just the cutest thing ever.
They say, look, Dad, I can jump higher.
These will work. Yep, these will
you know
work.
what's so funny is like you guys are like, oh, that's the cutest thing. I looked at that and I went, my kid is so stupid. That is just,
That's because you
like,
have boomer mentality.
I know. I'm like, you can't.
Yes, hi
run.
Priscilla. Oh, sorry.
I'm like, you
Hi
can't.
Priscilla.
Run
Shanna got her
faster.
car. Yeah, I know.
All right. Hey, Mr. Tiefel, are you ready for the F news?
I'm gonna before you start the WTF news, I am going to sign out. I'll see you guys later. Try not to run over too far because you guys get to talking and forget what you're doing.
I'm starting to get offended by Gina leaving every time my segment comes up.
I feel bad missing it, Tifo, but we don't ever get to it. We always run over. We're supposed to start you at 7:20, and I have to leave to run kids around. So until I'm rich and can afford to pay a nanny, I have to miss the WTF news. So,
Okay.
All right.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, so you guys know the other day when I talked about North Carolina and how they had the youngest age in which a child could enter the criminal justice system at the tender age of 6. Well, turns out they hold that distinction just barely, because in upstate New York there is a 7-year-old right now entering into the criminal justice system, charged with third-degree rape.
Whoa.
They're not giving any details as to how this charge can be justified for a 7-year-old, but that is what's going on right now. And I'm watching that story closely to see if anything more, because I looked up the statute for third-degree rape in New York, and well, it requires an act that I'm not sure a 7-year-old can do. So on that one, that is definitely a what the fuck. Like, what is going on there? Like, I don't understand what states could be thinking, going, hey, look, there's this child that did something stupid and they don't know that it was stupid, and they're whatever. I mean, what do they think? They got Damien on their hands? Like they got freaking like a possessed child or something? Like, what are they doing?
It's that zero tolerance policy. Like legit, when they started doing like, zero tolerance for drugs, when everybody assumed like zero tolerance for drugs meant, on school grounds meant, no marijuana, no, cocaine, drugs. And then it turned into, no aspirin, don't let me catch your kid giving another kid, a Tylenol, and watching children get suspended for, bringing in Advil or something for allergies. And then it was, they fall back on this. Hey, we understand it looks ridiculous, but we have a zero tolerance policy. And that means, and that's drugs. And that's, people don't know what to do in that space, because like, they're just like, they just fall back on policy. They don't go, what, he's 7, because now they're afraid of what happens if we let the 7-year-old go, and then the 7-year-old does something horrible, and we had an opportunity, and now it all comes back on us.
I mean, I don't know what the right department to handle that, but something happened. That's for sure.
I mean,
something happened, and someone has to handle it. I don't know what they're gonna. I mean, they're not gonna probably put him in jail or anything, but I mean, when things happen, somebody has to figure out what to do.
Well,
so
family court, CPS are designed exactly for these situations. Like, you don't need to criminally charge. Like, the earlier you criminally charge somebody, a child, the more likely it is that they stay in the system the rest of their life. So it's weird. It's just a weird situation. But speaking of drug dealers, a Lawton, Michigan man was pulled over on because he was parked on the shoulder in Clam Lake Township of the M55. The state troopers noticed there was a woman driving, but as soon as they turned on their little red light at the top of their car, the guy ducked down. And that seemed suspicious. When they asked for the man's identity, he gave it to them and they ran his name. The problem is he gave them a fake name. But the problem for him on that was the fake name that he gave them had warrants out for him.
Well, that sucks. Dude, you gotta hang out. You gotta hang out with classier people.
That's good.
You can't use the people that you hang out with, because the people that you hang out with are more than likely just like you. You can't use like their name.
That's good. Now, that was a good WTF one, Chris.
Yeah,
no child rape, nothing like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A search of the man found some methamphetamine on him. And some other drugs and everything. And when they got him to the jail, all that stuff, when they got him to the jail and they fingerprinted him, that's when they discovered he gave a fake name. Like, he kept it up during this whole time. Like, at no point did he go, wait, no, that was the wrong name. Until he was
you got to write that out.
They found his identity. But while they were then doing the normal jailhouse search, they found that he had smuggled even more drugs into the jail that they had not found during their initial search.
So he was just holding it there? What do they call that? The jail purse or something like that?
It's the prison pocket.
Prison purse.
So, a South African pastor is in the news. Africa is full of these like revival type preachers. They claim they can heal the sick and, make the poor wealthy and all this stuff and all that. Mm-hmm. This gentleman's no different. He believes that he can heal the sick, pass the power of God unto his parishioners through his farts. He will literally hover over, and he has to do it near the nostrils so that the power of God can come into you a lot easier through your mouth and nostrils. And he will. I'm
not going to judge this one. I'm not going to judge this one because I have walked into some farts that have changed the way I felt. So, I mean, there might be something to this.
Yeah, I know. I know. I've been sitting in a chair and crop dusted, and that moment had enabled me to walk. It had shot me up out of my chair, and my legs just began to move. And at that point, I remember going, I can taste it, and this is a miracle.
Oh my God.
I
love it.
The weirdest part about this entire situation is that there's a 2-month waiting list.
I mean, I kind of want to sign up and see how this goes.
It's a testimonial. Dude, it's just not, look, you just can't like push like my farts heal people. There is an extensive testimonial chain that is going on at that moment where they're like, this is John from Iowa. And John from Iowa says, oh my.
I feel like that started as every time someone farted, like as a joke, they'd be like, bless you. Bless you, like a sneeze.
And they're like, and one guy was
we
like,
might have something here.
He was like, oh my God, I think I can see. Oh.
So, but yeah. So, if you're in South Africa, you're looking for a good time. Just sign up to get farted on by the pastor. Maybe your arthritis will get healed.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Chris. What Josh just said, I wonder if that pastor pounds down a bunch of South African Taco Bell to get ready. He gives it blessings.
Dude, if South African Taco Bell knew what it was doing, they'd hire this guy immediately and just start sponsoring him, like just throughout the country, and just flatulence of faith. That's you could call it the flatulence of faith tour. Like he's healing people through the power of the bell.
I do applaud him for his control and his trust in his own rectum, because I mean you shouldn't trust farts, and I applaud him for being able to have that much confidence in his control that he not only can fart on command, but he can control every aspect.
Well, Chris, I feel like there's a personal story there that we don't want to delve into until next week.
I got
you got one more
story. I got one more. Police in Paris are hot on the trail of an international group of thieves dedicated to Legos. This comes off the tails of arresting 3 people, a woman and 2 men, in the process of stealing cases of Legos from a toy shop in a town outside of Paris I will not even try to pronounce. Under questioning, the suspects, all from Poland, reportedly admitted they were part of a team specializing in stealing Legos sought by collectors. Apparently, this conspiracy has international implications and ties on there. So they are issuing warnings to specialty Lego shops, to large retailers, and telling people to be sure to check the provenance on their purchases online.
You guys, there is definitely some movie rights that need to be purchased here. I'm talking, this is a story I would watch. International Lego espionage. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And it's just like, all right. So it's like, I'm a little disappointed that 2 of them got caught. That means they weren't carrying their getaway pocket of Legos, because anybody knows, like, once you throw those down and people step on them, nobody's running after you after that. You just throw down a pocket full of Legos, and then it's like sons of bitches and curse words, and nobody goes, who saw that coming? Nobody saw defensive Legos coming.
Yeah, just be warned, Legos aren't just for kids anymore. Yet another thing millennials have ruined. We love our Legos, and we have taken that love into our adulthood, and now we want the expensive. Now we can afford the expensive collectible ones, the big sets and things like that. So there's now a mark.
There should be some things that should never be described as collectible or expensive, and that Legos is one of them. Legos, Slinkies, potato peelers, and butt plugs.
Yeah, you're a Duplo block guy if I ever heard one.
For sure.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much for listening, and you hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will see you bright and early at 6:30 on Monday. This is from Donnie. Say hello and goodbye.
Come on.
All right, and Mr. T, you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
So, yeah.
Come on!